Picture yourself at the bottom of the ocean, not a shallow reef near the shore, the open water, the real ocean, where there is no floor you can see, no shore you can swim to, only black-green darkness stretching downward with no end. And somewhere in that darkness, something is swimming toward you. 60 feet, 65 tons, a bite force strong enough to crush a truck like an empty can. 276 teeth arranged in rows, and when the outermost row breaks, the next row moves forward automatically. It never runs out. This is Otodus megalodon, the largest apex predator in the history of the vertebrate world. It ruled the seas for 20 million years, longer than the time between the dinosaurs and right now. Twice over. But here's the question nobody actually answers directly. Megalodon arrived late. Very late. Life in the ocean began more than 500 million years before Megalodon existed. 500 million years. And the ocean was not empty. It was full of things that have no name in any language you know. Things that had evolved across hundreds of millions of years to survive, hunt, and endure in worlds Megalodon never entered. So if Megalodon were thrown back in time into each of those geological periods, each of those worlds, what would happen? This is not a question about who wins. It is a different question, a heavier one. When Megalodon enters those worlds, does it remain the ruler? Or are there periods where the ocean produced something that even Megalodon had to fear, something it might not come back from? And if no period could do that, if Megalodon passed through all 12 worlds without anything stopping it, then the real question falls on the other side. What did the creatures living in those periods do? How did they survive the presence of something their world had never prepared them to face? One predator, 12 worlds. And the answer, whichever direction it goes, will show you something about life that you have never considered. 12 geological periods, 12 worlds. Here is what happens. Era 1, the Cambrian period, 508 million years ago. The Cambrian Ocean looked nothing like anything you have ever seen. No fish, no coral in the modern sense, no vertebrate large enough to see from a distance with the naked eye. But the ocean was not silent. In the warm, shallow water, something was hunting. Its name was Anomalocaris canadensis. And in this world, it was the apex of everything. Paleontologist Desmond Collins, who excavated hundreds of specimens from the Burgess Shale in Canada, described it as the first creature in evolutionary history to hunt with deliberate intent. 2 feet long, compound eyes with 16,000 lenses, the most complex visual system on Earth at that time, capable of detecting movement from every direction simultaneously. 2 frontal appendages lined with spines to seize prey. Its mouth was a circular ring of hardened plates that rotated, not a jaw, not teeth in any sense you would recognize, but a biological grinding machine. In the world of the Cambrian, Anomalocaris was absolute terror. Then Megalodon arrives, 2 feet against 60 feet. No combat, no survival challenge. Just one cold biological fact. Anomalocaris is too small for Megalodon to burn energy pursuing. Research on the hunting behavior of large modern sharks shows they abandon prey when the caloric return does not justify the energy cost of the chase. Anomalocaris does not survive Megalodon. It survives because Megalodon does not bother to look down. Combat score, 0. Survival score, 9 out of 10. Completely invisible to the largest predator that ever existed. Not because it is strong, because it is not worth noticing. Era 2, the Ordovician period. 480 million years ago. The mass extinction at the end of the Cambrian swept away most life. The Ordovician ocean rebuilt from nothing, and this time it produced something larger. Cameroceras, a giant nautiloid with a straight conical shell up to 30 feet long, longer than a city bus. Inside the shell, a system of gas chambers allowed it to control buoyancy. Outside, dozens of tentacles. It was the first genuinely large apex predator in ocean history. Megalodon arrives. And this time, things get genuinely interesting. Cameroceras' shell is thick calcium carbonate, proportionally harder than concrete. Biting the shell is the wrong move for Megalodon. Its serrated teeth are designed to cut soft tissue, not grind mineral casing. But Cameroceras moves slowly. It can burst, but it cannot run. And the soft body at the rear, the part exposed outside the shell, is completely unprotected. Cameroceras' survival against Megalodon is a pure race. retract into the shell before Megalodon reaches the soft tissue. If it makes it, Megalodon bites shell, cannot penetrate, moves on. If it does not, over in one strike. Combat score, 1 out of 10. Survival score, 6 out of 10. The best armor of the first 6 periods, but speed is the fatal flaw. Era 3, the Silurian period. 430 million years ago. This is the age of the sea scorpion. Not the kind you are imagining. Jaekelopterus rhenanii, the largest eurypterid ever confirmed, stretched 8 feet long, weighed an estimated over 200 pounds, with front claws powerful enough to crush bone. Paleontologist Simon Brady at the University of Bristol, who described the first specimen in 2008, noted it as the largest arthropod confirmed in the fossil record. In the Silurian Ocean, Jaekelopterus was the nightmare. But there is something about Jaekelopterus that rarely gets mentioned. It lived primarily in very shallow water, coastal zones, estuaries, river mouths, water under 6 feet deep, water that large sharks cannot enter because their dorsal fins would breach the surface. Megalodon, with an estimated body height of over 12 feet, physically cannot reach where Jaekelopterus lives. This is not survival through strength or speed. This is survival through terrain. Jaekelopterus cannot fight Megalodon, but it lives where Megalodon cannot go. Combat score, 1 out of 10. Survival score, 8 out of 10. Terrain is the best armor you never have to carry. Era 4, the Devonian period. 419 million years ago. This is the first era where everything changes. Not because the creatures here are larger, not because they are faster, but because for the first time in this list, something can make Megalodon bleed. Its name is Dunkleosteus terrelli. And before you picture it, forget everything you have seen in textbooks. For decades, scientists estimated Dunkleosteus at roughly 25 to 30 feet long. In 2023, paleontologist Russell Engelman at Case Western Reserve University published research in the journal Diversity, applying a new measurement method based on the correlation between eye socket length and total body length across more than 3,000 fish species. The result? A typical adult Dunkleosteus was only 11 feet long. The largest known specimen, around 13 feet, 4 times smaller than anyone assumed. But size is not what makes Dunkleosteus dangerous. Look at the head, not teeth. Dunkleosteus had no teeth in the conventional sense. Instead, 2 razor-sharp bony plates grew directly from the jaw, self-sharpening continuously as they ground against each other. A biomechanical study in 2008 by Philip Anderson and Mark Westneat, published in Biology Letters, measured the bite force of the unique 4-bar linkage mechanism in Dunkleosteus's jaw, 4,400 newtons at the front of the jaw, 5,300 newtons at the rear plate, stronger than any fish that has ever existed. And the entire head and chest were encased in thick bone armor. Not scales, not hardened skin, but actual bone plating like metal plate mail. Megalodon arrives, and for the first time, the situation is not simple. Megalodon charges from behind. Standard approach, target the soft body. But Dunkleosteus pivots. The jaw opens in under 50 milliseconds, faster than the reflex speed of any modern vertebrate, generating enough suction to pull water and prey directly into the mouth. If that bite lands on Megalodon's pectoral fin, that is a serious injury. But Megalodon does not need to kill Dunkleosteus. It only needs one bite into the rear body. The section with no armor, completely soft. This is the first confrontation in 12 eras where the outcome depends on attack angle, not raw power. Combat score, 4 out of 10. Survival score, 7 out of 10. Verdict: Megalodon wins. But this is the first time in 12 eras that Megalodon could leave with a wound. Era 5, the Carboniferous period. 359 million years ago. The mass extinction at the end of the Devonian wiped out Dunkleosteus. The ocean rebuilds, and this time produces the strangest creature in the entire history of marine life. Helicoprion besanoii. Stop for a moment and actually picture this. Helicoprion was a primitive shark-like fish roughly 23 feet long. From a distance, it looked like a normal shark. But look at its mouth, and everything changes. The lower jaw of Helicoprion had no individual teeth. Instead, the entire lower jaw was a continuous spiral of teeth, never shed, never replaced, coiling inward in a spring shape. Paleontologist Leif Tapanila at Idaho State University, who used CT scanning to decode the Helicoprion fossil in 2013, Describe the mechanism as an automatic saw blade. As the jaw closes, the tooth whorl pulls prey deeper inward, cutting from the inside out. Nothing like it existed before, nothing like it has existed since. Nothing like it exists in any living animal today. Megalodon arrives. As a fighter, Helicoprion is no match. But here is what is interesting about its survival. That tooth whorl is not just an offensive weapon. If Megalodon attacks from the wrong angle, specifically from below, directed toward Helicoprion's jaw region, the spiral can saw back into the roof of Megalodon's own mouth during the bite itself. This is not an active defense. Helicoprion does not choose to do this. It is a pure physical consequence of tooth geometry, an entirely accidental passive trap. Megalodon essentially has to learn the correct attack angle before striking. For a shark that operates largely on instinct, this is not a trivial factor. Combat score, 2 out of 10. Survival score, 5 out of 10. Verdict: Megalodon wins, but Helicoprion's weapon is the most biologically disturbing thing in this entire list. Not because it is powerful, because it has no consciousness, no plan, and can still cause harm. Era 6, the Permian period. 299 million years ago. Helicoprion is still here. Nothing in the Permian is worth a serious fight. But here is the real twist of this era. Megalodon in the Permian does not face an opponent. It faces an absence. The Permian Ocean is in the process of rebuilding after multiple extinction events. This is the weakest period for marine megapredators in all of geological history. Nothing to fight. Nothing to hunt at the scale Megalodon requires. This is the only era where Megalodon could go extinct, not from being defeated, but from starvation. Combat score, 0. Megalodon survival score, 3 out of 10. Verdict: the Permian is the most dangerous era for Megalodon, not because of enemies, but because of emptiness. Era 7, the Triassic period. 252 million years ago. The end Permian mass extinction eliminated 90% of all marine life, the largest extinction event in geological history. The Triassic Ocean was a blank page, and on that blank page, an entirely new group of creatures began rewriting history: the marine reptiles. Thalattoarchon saurophagus. The name translates roughly as sovereign of the lizardfish. That is not an exaggeration. This ichthyosaur was 28 feet long, roughly half the length of Megalodon. Discovered in Triassic limestone in Nevada and described in 2013 by paleontologist Nadia Frobisher and colleagues in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, Thalattoarchon was the first apex predator of the Triassic with macro-predatory teeth. Not filter-feeding teeth like contemporary ichthyosaurs, but large cutting teeth capable of handling prey of equivalent size. This distinction matters. For the first time in this list, Megalodon's opponent is not just something that bites. It is something that hunts prey at its own scale. But Thalattoarchon is still roughly half the length of Megalodon, and perhaps 10 to 15 times lighter in mass. It can swim by undulating the entire body, more flexible and faster than Megalodon at low speeds. But in close-range confrontation, the mass gap is too large for agility to compensate. Combat score, 3 out of 10. The first opponent with genuine predator instinct. Survival score, 6 out of 10. Speed and flexibility enough to escape if not cornered. Verdict: Megalodon wins, but this is the first opponent that makes the hunt genuinely complicated. Era 8, the Jurassic period. 201 million years ago. Now things change for real. Through 8 eras, Megalodon held the bite force advantage every single time. That was not in question. 108,000 to 182,000 newtons, stronger than anything in the list. The Jurassic is the first era where that is no longer true. Pliosaurus funkii. The name the press gave it when the fossil was discovered in Svalbard, Norway in 2009. Predator X. A skull over 6 feet long. 4 flippers generating thrust from 4 directions simultaneously. Speed reaching 16 feet per second, faster than Megalodon at short range. And bite force, based on data from the related species Pliosaurus cavani, estimated between 9,600 and 48,000 newtons. At the upper end of that estimate, Predator X could bite harder than Megalodon. This is the first time that is possible in 12 eras. But there is one fatal weakness. Predator X is a reptile. It must surface to breathe. In a fight lasting more than a few minutes, stamina becomes the deciding factor. And that is a factor Predator X cannot win. Scenario where Megalodon loses. Predator X strikes first, from below, First bite lands on head or gills within the first 30 seconds. Scenario where Megalodon wins. The fight extends beyond 3 minutes. Predator X needs air. Megalodon does not. Combat score 7 out of 10, the highest of the first 8 eras. Survival score 6 out of 10. Bite force enough for serious damage, but stamina is the fatal flaw. Verdict: Megalodon wins. But this is the first time in 12 eras that betting on Megalodon means accepting that the odds favor it, not that the outcome is certain. Era 9, the Cretaceous period. 145 million years ago. This one is different. Mosasaurus hoffmanii, 43 to 46 feet, 30,000 to 33,000 pounds, based on biomechanical estimates published in Extinct Atlas in 2026. This is the first marine reptile in this list that comes closest to Megalodon in actual size. But size is not what makes Mosasaurus dangerous. Its jaw has a double hinge, like a snake, allowing it to open at an angle Megalodon cannot match. That means Mosasaurus can attack from directions that Megalodon's electroreceptive sensory system was not designed to respond to in time. The ampullae of Lorenzini in sharks work best when prey approaches from the front or the side, not from above at an unusual angle. And Mosasaurus was more intelligent than Megalodon, not in an abstract sense, but in a purely tactical one. The fossil record shows Mosasaurus hunting with deliberate intent, adjusting its approach based on how prey responded. Megalodon operated largely on instinct, but Mosasaurus is still a reptile, still needs to breathe, still has a stamina ceiling. Combat score 7 out of 10, matching Predator X, but in a completely different way. Survival score 7 out of 10, the highest to this point. Verdict: Megalodon wins in a long fight, but Mosasaurus is the most dangerous opponent for a surprise ambush. If you were watching the first 30 seconds of this fight, betting on Megalodon is a reckless call. Era 10, the Paleogene period. 66 million years ago, the dinosaurs go extinct. Mosasaurus goes extinct. The ocean resets once more, and this time, the thing that fills the void is not a reptile. It is a whale. Basilosaurus isis, 50 to 60 feet long, longer than Megalodon at the average estimate, but only 12,000 to 14,000 pounds, 10 times lighter than Megalodon. Hold that number. Longer, but 10 times lighter. Basilosaurus had an eel-like body, incapable of fast turns, unable to generate force in tight space, unable to withstand a direct bite to the torso. A finite element analysis study in 2015 by Hamp and colleagues, published in PLOS One, measured the bite force of Basilosaurus 36,000 to 45,000 newtons, stronger than most predators in this list, but still below Megalodon. This is the first whale in the list, and that matters. Whales breathe with lungs, not gills. But Basilosaurus was neither intelligent enough nor agile enough to use that as a tactical advantage in combat. Combat score 3 out of 10. Survival score 4 out of 10. Longer but too light. Too slow to escape Megalodon in open water. Verdict: Megalodon wins. There is nothing close here. Era 11, the Neogene period. 12 million years ago. This is the only era where the opponent is real. Livyatan Melville, named after the sea monster in scripture, and Herman Melville, the author of Moby Dick. Discovered in the Pisco Desert of Peru by paleontologist Olivier Lambert and colleagues, published in Nature in 2010. 43 to 56 feet, 88,000 to 110,000 pounds, matching Megalodon in mass. This is the only time in 12 eras that happens, but here is what no other animal in this list has. Livyatan's teeth measured 14 inches in length, the largest predatory teeth confirmed for any vertebrate animal in history. Not tusks, not spines, actual teeth, with enamel on both upper and lower jaw, built to grip and not release. And Livyatan had echolocation. This is the factor that changes everything. Megalodon detected prey passively, long-range olfaction, lateral line sensing water movement, ampullae of Lorenzini detecting bioelectric fields at close range. The whole system only works if prey announces itself first. Livyatan sensed sound into the dark and listened for what came back. In complete ocean darkness, at depths of hundreds of feet, Livyatan knew Megalodon's exact position, while Megalodon had no idea it was being tracked. This is not a minor asymmetry. This is a total information asymmetry. So who wins? The answer depends on 4 different scenarios, and each produces a different result. Scenario 1. Livyatan attacks first from darkness. uses echolocation to locate Megalodon at range, approaches from below or behind, rams the head into the gills, then bites the pectoral fin to immobilize. Megalodon loses directional control before it can respond. Result: Livyatan wins with high probability. Scenario 2. Both animals approach each other at the surface in daylight, enough light for Megalodon's electrical system to function. Megalodon charges directly, first bite at 180,000 newtons into Livyatan's body. Result: Megalodon wins with high probability. That first bite is an injury Livyatan does not recover from. Scenario 3. Extended fight. Both animals already wounded. Megalodon bite and retreat. Livyatan grapple. Whoever takes damage to a fin or tail first loses. Result: no way to know. Scenario 4. Megalodon, per the latest estimate by Stearns and colleagues in 2025, a slender, elongated body, potentially up to 79 feet, 207,000 pounds. Livyatan is nearly half its mass. Result: Megalodon wins decisively. The true deciding variable is not strength. It is who strikes first. And that depends on light conditions and detection range, not power. This is the only era in 12 with no definitive answer. And there is real evidence. Miocene whale fossils carry bite marks from two distinct tooth types: serrated, consistent with Megalodon, and smooth, consistent with Livyatan. They met. The fight happened. The outcome was never recorded in stone. Combat score: 9 out of 10, the highest in the entire list. Survival score: 8 out of 10. Verdict: the only genuinely 50-50 round, and the only opponent that shared the same ocean at the same time. Era 12, the Quaternary period. The present. Orca. Orcsinus orca, 20 to 30 feet, 6,000 to 13,000 pounds per individual, alone, not a threat. Nearly 10 times lighter than Megalodon. But orca do not hunt alone. A pod of 20 orca with the highest strategic intelligence in the ocean. They know to target the gills, coordinate attacks from multiple directions simultaneously, and most importantly, they learn. If one is injured in the first strike against Megalodon, the pod adjusts its approach. No other predator in this list has that capacity. The fossil record offers no answer here. Orca appeared after Megalodon was already gone. They never actually shared the same ocean. But modern orca have been documented killing great white sharks, the largest living shark, reaching a maximum of about 23 feet. Megalodon was 2 to 3 times larger than a great white. Could a large enough pod do to Megalodon what they have done to great whites? This is an open question with a scientific basis, and there is no answer. Combat score: impossible to evaluate. Too many variables. Verdict: the only open question in this list, not from a lack of data, but because these two species never existed at the same point in time. 3 things that stay with you when you look back at this list. First, the strongest creature is not necessarily the one best built to survive. Jaekelopterus survived through terrain. Anomalocaris survived through invisibility. Neither was stronger than Megalodon by any measure. Second, bite force is not the only thing that decides a fight. Livyatan's echolocation, Megalodon's stamina, Mosasaurus's attack angle. The things that cannot be measured in newtons or pounds are the things that made the actual difference in the closest matchups. Third, and this is the part nobody says out loud, Megalodon was never defeated by a single living creature across the entire history of life on this planet. The only opponent that genuinely matched it, Livyatan melvilli, swam in the same ocean at the same time, and both went extinct. Not because either was beaten, but because the ocean cooled by 3 degrees and their prey disappeared toward the poles. The real enemy of Megalodon is not on this list. It had no teeth, no fins, no bite force, just temperature.